I trust everyone here is familiar with the concept of FUBU.
First up, buy up. Wait, no.
Oh yeah, forced bias for sure.
For us by us, yeah, for us by
Yeah.
us, right? It is a common, I guess, sorry, in black community for products, and first it was like clothing or stores or brands that were made for us by us. And is Ordeal the first example of FUBU Shonen? Because it might be. It might be.
It's a good argument.
For better or worse, I think we can call Ordeal definitively a FUBU Shonen. And that is the subject of today's episode, Peak of Fiction Podcast, the podcast where we cover the very peak of fiction, be that anime, comics, manga, television, movies, and more. And today we are covering the webtoon Ordeal. The very first season of it, Ordeal, is made by a artist, writer, Brent Bristol, and it is a pretty interesting, kind of like action shonen with all kinds of crazy powers, and we're here to see, is it peak fiction or not? And to do this, I have my great co-hosts, starting with Supa O.
Hey, what's good, everyone? The superpower expert here to show you what I think about this superpower series.
All right, then we got Gray the Samurai.
I'm excited to dig into this series, y'all. I started it a long time ago. I'm happy I finally was able to get through it, and we're going to chat about it today.
And Beto, the comic book expert.
I'm such a comic book expert. It's like my 5th time reading this book. I can't believe it. I can't believe we're talking about this, even though it was my 5th, 6th, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember.
All right, and Bates to Dust myself. So just in case you want to know what Ordeal is, so you can follow along, Ordeal is a webtoon on the webtoon platform, and the main plot line of it is about a young man named Che Hart, and he begins the story, right, just as a normal human in a world full of Kimios, right, which kind of these superpower beings that have all these different abilities called talents. And he wants to fight, and continue the battle in spite of being powerless. And he's trained by, or mentored by the previous greatest Kimio to ever live, Leo Thomas, right? And through a series of events, because I don't want to spoil it, just right out of the gate, he is pushed from, kind of a lovely position to the forefront as the world kind of expands and all these different forces are invading his territory and his people. And he has a team of his boys to fight back. And, maybe he gains more power than he expected on the way. That's a quick summary of Ordeal without spoiling too many details, but after we give our quick intros, we will talk more about what Ordeal is all about in more depth. So Ordeal is something that has been in my back pocket for a while, right? I remember starting to read it. Like I read the first 15 chapters a while ago, but I didn't carry it through. But especially during this time, you want to cover more, black media. And I was like, oh, how about Ordeal, right? Which is very, I think, authentically black, specifically, West Indian, Trinidadian, because the writer is from Trinidad and Tobago. And you know what? If you read Ordeal for 5 minutes, you can see, yeah, they're definitely from Trinidad and Tobago. The importance of Trinidad to this comic and to the world of Ordeal cannot be understated. And, I can really respect a author, really putting themselves in more than one way in their book. So I, for one, early first impression, I really enjoyed this season 1 Ordeal. I think it sets a pretty good groundwork for what's to come. The art is gorgeous. The characters are, really well expressed, and it sets up a really cool world that, you want to explore more of. But what did everyone else think about Ordeal?
I messed with it. This is my second time reading the first season, but in terms of reading the entire series, I'm not caught up quite yet because I haven't read it in a bit of a minute. But I am pretty far. I'm on the middle of season 3, and it gets so much crazier, bro. But
I can only imagine.
Yeah, especially with the powers and ability. yeah, every day just gets cranked up. But no, Ordeal is a really good manhwa. And it's actually one of the rare moments that when it comes to like both manga and manhwa, whatever, where you could really like get a sense of that black. You get a sense. It's good to see, great to see black people, on page. You know what I mean? And he gives,
Yeah.
and he's so diverse with it. It's the main character is front and center. They're the heroes, they're the villains, and even like the unique ways he does his powers. Granted, we see a little bit of it in this season, but after this, even after this point, he does a really good job of showing all of that. It's even just an interesting power system in general because it's like quirks,
Yeah,
but deities and mangas.
Nice. That's high praise.
Yeah, yeah.
pretty high. All right, I'll go next. I really like it. It was funny. When Ordeal was put on the table, they were like, "Hey, we're gonna read Ordeal for the pod." I said, "All right, yeah, let me check this out." And as I started reading, I said, "Wait a minute! I read this one." I didn't even remember. I didn't realize that I had read a lot of it before. I did not make it through the full first season originally. I made it maybe like I think Bates said he was 10 or 15 chapters in. I think it was supposed to be like maybe 7 or 8. But I enjoyed what I had read. I did enjoy it. I get distracted by other things sometimes and don't finish certain series. But this was really enjoyable. The storyline ramps up and some really wild things happen through the story. I do enjoy uh I'm going to call it the Family Guy effect because they do a lot of flashbacks.
They do a lot of flashbacks. This is true.
They do a lot of flashbacks, but the flashbacks don't feel lazy. They feel like they're timed in a way to drive the story forward, and I think they are all really great ways of talking about characters that at the beginning we think we won't see them for that much, and we won't hear that much about, and then we get a lot deeper into their origin or into like who they are as characters. So yeah, overall, I actually was genuinely impressed by how much I enjoyed Ordeal. It's quite a good series.
Yeah, most definitely. This is my first time reading it, and I got hooked in by probably the first chapter. This is a pretty awesome book. The art style is very bright and colorful and action packed. It's very well designed with the action scenes and comedy, slapstick when it comes around it. And it's very well written, and the world building is very, very immense. That you got to really pay attention to the details when they talk about it. I overall have to say it is an enjoyable book, and I would continue reading it even after.
So the story of Ordeal begins with Che Hart, right? And he is a human in the world full of Kimios. And Kimios, I don't know if I guess there was originally 4 great Kimios, right? I don't know how the powers are distributed, but you can be born with a special power, a special ability called a talent, and there's a bunch of them, right? I think as O brought up earlier, they have a full chart at the beginning of the story, but that chart's kind of meaningless. No one really cares. I mean, they'll say what type of Kimio is. You'd think the way that chart is, it's like a Nen type system where it's all like, oh, well, this one does this, but they kind of do whatever.
Yeah. Whatever it is, starting.
Yeah, they kind of do whatever. But everyone has an ability, and then with training, you can express that ability to a greater state. So appeal different forms and whatnot. And Jay and his bros, I will not be good with names here, but I believe Zom and one of the Hemlocks and Tevin and Anton, right, are all trained by Leo Thomas, who was the previous greatest Kimio in the world, right? He is the one who single-handedly defeated the big bad in the last age, and he's an old man now, but he's training his boys to be big and strong. And we're introduced to Che, who, despite being a normal human, is using his training to beat Kimios in MMA matches. So he beats this Kimio who has the power to grow spikes, right, and toughen himself. and using like his techniques, he's able to subdue him, take him down, knock him out. But it is killing him, because his body is very injured. He has tons of internal, wounds and punctures and scars. And, Leo's like, you can't be fighting like that. I told you not to go to the underground MMA. Well, they're not even underground, actually. But I told you not to go to the MMA fights. And he's like, oh, yeah, I know, but I want to do this, whatever. So when the time is right. So, unfortunately, right, Leo had a Tai Lung. He was the Master Shifu to his own very, very own Tai Lung in the form of Rokash, who was his greatest student previously, but was super prideful and kind of a dick. So, and end up killing another one of his students in a fight. So he was banished, but he's still like a pretty big deal in Trinidad because he entered the top 150, which is a very big deal. I think it's 97 of the top 150 people in the world. Very strong, very powerful, has a crazy talent. It appears to be kind of like a tigerish ability. They kind of elaborate more as we go along. And he storms kind of Leo's dojo after hours and he's like, hey, what's up, old man? And we're gonna settle some stuff, here and now. And Leo fights back. He has these really cool flame powers, like the specific Ilios is what it's called. And he is able to beat Rokash, but because he's old and slow, as many of these stories go, he dies from a bullet, which I'm still scratching my head on. As we get more details, I'm scratching my head of why was Rokash getting washed like that, and why did he die from a bullet? Both these things, I'm like,
I mean, he's going up against Leo, so
yeah, but Rokash didn't even use like any of his bag, dog.
No, his bag was still because most of his power, right, was sealed in the kid he like took in, and at that time, there was no reason to just take it away from him without.
Well, some of it, but he could still use his. I know we're already getting to weeds, but he could still use his gold form. He didn't even use his gold form.
No, I think the gold form comes when he takes all the power. That's how he turned into it. Or am I misremembering?
No, that's how he got the pyramids. Anyways, what I'm saying is the fight was kind of dubious. Okay,
the bullet is kind of crazy, but like I think that's only that's to show you
crazy.
It was part of the
bullet.
plot.
The bullet's crazy. The bullet's super crazy, especially when you see everything else they go through. The bullet is crazy. Shouldn't be like, oh, I got shot once in the gut. Yep, that's me. Yep, I'm dead.
Yeah, I think it's because it was to kind of show how far that fight he went with Rokash.
Yeah.
His defenses were just that down because Rokash wore him out. But
we'll talk about power scaling as time goes on. But the power scaling is kind of iffy in this series, but that's neither here nor there.
It gets.
Anyways, Leo dies. It's very tragic. They held the funeral for him, and everyone's so sad that Leo died. And they hear that, and they don't know how he died. Right? They suspect Rokash, but they don't know. But they hear that there's going to be a big tournament hosted by Rokash later on, and they all join the tournament because this is their chance. Because they say so the number one winner of it can face Rokash in battle. So him and his boys all show up. They're well trained, and Che goes out there to fight a Kimio who has like shark powers. Right? They get stronger in the presence of blood, and he's getting washed. Okay, he is getting washed. But then suddenly, he awakens into new, powerful sun powers. Basically, he inherits Leo's power.
Mm-hmm.
And because they established in the story that you can like transfer your talent upon death to someone else. So with Leo's new power, he instantly incinerates that shark guy. And this excites Rokash, who goes on air and is like, wow, I'm so excited. Man, I want to fight you right now and kill you like I killed your old man. And he's like, and his boys are like, bro, you're on live. You're on live television.
The police literally come back in. They're like, wait, we were trying to find the guy who killed your trainer.
Yeah, and
You
he's
said
like,
that
It's
in
you.
4K,
like,
bro.
you know, and
What's wrong with
Rakash's
you?
like, oh, okay, all right, I guess I guess I'll leave. I guess I'll flee. So him and his boys,
Guess the
crazy,
cat's
brother.
out of the bag now.
Guess the cat's out the bag. Terrible, brother.
Who would have done that?
so now Che is with his new awakened powers, he's thrust into the world of Kimyos, and he must train first with the goal of stopping Rokash and like getting his revenge. But later on, they encounter new foes. Now, I will say this: I have this one complaint. Why can't we get a story where the main character, doesn't have super powers, and they still just don't have powers, and they deal with it? Because I feel like every time there's a story where it's like, I'm just a normal guy, in this world or whatever. And I'm like, oh, so he's going to use his wit and ingenuity and nope, he gets god powers. Oh, all right.
We have Batman already, brother. It's fine.
Yeah, I know, but like, I mean, like for example, like Deku and My Hero, Asta.
Deku, if he never got a quirk in that storyline, he is getting washed, brother.
You know what though?
Washed.
I feel like a powerless Deku could go further in the My Hero verse than a powerless.
To be
Che can
honest,
go in Ordeal.
Like a powerless Deku could be what Deku is at the end of the story. Like pretty much,
with the suit.
Where all the extraneous all for one abilities could be gadgets and tools, and he's slowly built. I'm just saying, there's another story there. Is what I'm saying. And this is a very
as far as he did without. All right,
I say in this story though, in with Ordeal,
much harder.
Che's getting packed up.
Che's getting packed up. But like, it's just like, it's a trope where I'm like, man.
But I feel you.
I really wish we could get stories the guy doesn't have powers and stays on having powers, right? And it's especially in Webtoon, the manhwa zone is filled with like, I was the E rank whatever, but then I got good god abilities. And it's just like, man,
like Jinwoo.
Why can't a person know powers tough it out and figure it out?
With their wit.
I want more Batman. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I want more Batman.
Yeah. It's a tough story to write.
Yeah.
In a world where everyone else has powers, like how do we justify how a person without powers can keep up? It's hard. It's not an easy thing to write. I'm not gonna lie.
So from here, the gang trains. We get introduced to a couple of new characters, including, I think, Andrea Thomas, who is Leo Thomas's granddaughter. Che's, I would say, the strongest candidate for Che's love interest at this point in time. And we also get a few more information on, Kimyos in the past. We do get one chapter where apparently the Battle of Waterloo was won by by some British guy with a scythe Kimyo. So I'm like, okay, sure,
I love that. Like that, this type of like fictional.
I'd be
history.
so mad if I was Napoleon, dog. Bro, imagine you're the perfect strategy and everything's going great, and then like the magicians just show up, and you're like, okay, yeah,
Guess I lose.
And history will say differently.
As long as we don't go up against the guy with the kill everybody ability, we'll be fine.
He's so strong. That was insane.
And we also get some flashbacks back to the past, where we see Leo Thomas in the Great Trinidad War, where apparently instead of World War II, they didn't have World War II. They had a different war where the Kimyos rose up and were like, you know what, we're actually just going to take over. Because, humans, we're just going to kill all the humans, and only the strong will survive. Which is the most just look.
Yeah, I know Magneto reading this like he's spitting.
For me, that is the most eye-rolling villain motivation. I'm just like, oh, they're only the strong. Okay, all right, man.
Like, survival of the fittest, bro.
Like,
I'm glad you're measuring strength in like only one dimension. That's fantastic. That's very intelligent of you.
Yeah. So just for confirmation. So you don't like the when it's strong people trying to code the weak, or do you just don't like it, the superpower trying to code the humans?
It's the ideology for me. It is it's a very basic like caveman logic of like me strong, me big, me strong, me in charge. Which is like, I guess, man, but at the same time, intelligence is just as valuable as strength, if not more, right? And we've gotten very far as a human species based on that, right?
That's fair.
And whenever it's just like, there's plenty of examples in history of people with very strong armies, but the best generals are smart too. They're not just strong. It's not just about your battle thing. Like, people glaze the Spartans all the time, but they did lose to the Athenians, right? And they eventually got washed out by like other armies. They were great soldiers, but that's all they could do. There's no innovation when you are only like the strongest, And it's always like, it always kills me because it always feels like whenever a villain's doing that, and I understand it's supposed to be a villain motivation, but it's just like, but you're missing out on so much if you're only measuring it off of like your physical power, right?
Yeah, that's fair. But I would say, like, in a case of like with Kane, for instance, or even if we use like Magneto for example, because I think Kane and Magneto, like ideology wise, are pretty similar. You see what they did. Yeah, like the Chemios and superpowered individuals are like clearly stronger than like a regular human, or at least have an advantage over a regular human in the sense that they could literally do things that humans just can't. But then we kind of get a glimpse of like their past a bit, and when it wasn't as much as them, and there's only like a few here and there, and we see like humans immediately like try to like off them because they're different. So you kind of get that like ideology. So in Kane's case, it was what they did to him and his.
Let it go, bro. Bro, that was bro. That was
It really
was
did.
600. That was 600 years ago, bro. That's 100 years. That was 600 years ago. Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah,
Get over it.
What if I don't? What if I want to run back to smoke for what y'all did to my moms? Like, I don't know, bro.
His own parents abandoned him. His own parents were like, "Yeah,
it's pretty messed up, man."
And not only that,
Grow
people
up.
get like, okay, cool. But
Crazy.
here's energy because so Magneto was put in the concentration
Such a wild
camp
take
for being a mutant and Jewish. So should you get over it? Should you get over those human transgressions?
Okay, now I have to choose my words very carefully here.
Yeah, you do that, buddy.
But I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. We have a pretty good example. We have a very tangible example of what can happen when, let's say, a group of people experience a tragedy, a very great tragedy, and then use that tragedy and use the pain from that as motivation to hurt other people. Let's just say that, okay? And it's not good. And we're not a fan of that, I believe. Okay? So, just because something bad happened to you does not mean you can be like, and now it's my turn. Like, just grow up, brother.
Like, that's what they said about the Eldians, bro. The Eldians had abilities to turn into Titans, and,
The Eldians but the Eldians were doing the oppressing, bro. That's the other thing. That's the other thing about the Eldians. The Eldians are all like,
okay,
whatever.
Okay.
But the Eldians were doing the oppressing, and then they got like usurped.
That was like ancient times. That was ancient times.
But you're saying the Marleyans should have gotten over it.
Yeah, the Marleyans should have gotten over it.
should have gotten over it. But the Eldians should not have gotten over it.
No, because since that moment, they kept flooding the parody with like Titans, oppressing them even further. And then when Eren strikes back, now they're all surprised. Now they're surprised that the Titans that they flooded the place with are attacking them again.
How could this have happened?
Okay. Yeah, the Marleyans didn't need to flex on the Eldians that hard, but that being said, this all to say, Kane, who is the villain of that time, he should grow up. Anyways, he's like, I will destroy the weak, whatever. So they have a huge war where the Chemios are attacking the people, and Leo is like an orphan boy who has like this insane power, and he activates it, and he has Ilios, which is one of the 4 great powers. as they mentioned, or the 4 original Kimio powers. And he fights, I guess, in the Trinidad Special Forces. I don't know. This is the other thing about this, is that the importance of Trinidad is a little much. Because,
Really?
yeah, I understand wanting to put your home place, on the map. Okay, your hometown, your home island, your
It's a
home
fictional
country on
story.
the
Do
map.
whatever you want.
It's a fictional story. But they were really fighting in Trinidad for like 12 years, dog.
Hey man,
Yeah.
Trinidad
That's
was
where things went down.
let's open up a
Trinidad
history
was that
book.
important?
Things went
They
down.
weren't. They're going anywhere else. They were like, nah, bro. We have to send wave after wave to Trinidad. I'm just asking questions. That's.
And I mean, this world Trinidad's like a superpower, bro.
I guess Trinidad's your power.
It's like the home island.
If I was writing a story, maybe I would make a undisclosed Massachusetts city the most important city in the world.
Heck
but,
yeah,
Situate.
Woburn,
Yeah, Situate,
Woburn.
Leominster,
Billerica.
Leominster.
And keep in mind, like a lot of the world's
man.
Kimios come from Trinidad, in this story. So, in this world where like most of them reside there, it's pretty much New America with how much power that country holds.
Also Japan too.
Oh yeah, I've heard like when it comes to Japanese like media, the Japanese police force is the strongest police force in the world.
Yeah, I do like how the main Kimio organization is in Japan.
Yeah.
But that's
very appropriate. Very well thought out.
yeah.
I agree with that thought process.
So they are fighting over Trinidad for 12 years, and Leo's getting super strong. He has his mentor who is cool. I forget what his name is, but is he a Hemlock? He's a Hemlock, right? The mentor.
Hemlock's uncle.
Yeah, he has the knives, the daggers, and he has like the red strings.
Oh,
Yes.
him? No, I don't think he is.
No?
Or he's
Is
not.
he? Wait, is he? I gotta see his name.
Well,
again.
yeah, he has the red
Maybe I
hair.
didn't- maybe I didn't
the
know
eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, if you have the red hair, you are a hemlock.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I just didn't know that. Maybe I didn't put two and two
So-
together. Like I read that Hemlock last name. I'm like, oh yeah, there's no connection.
But so it just happened. So I guess after fighting Trinidad for all this time, it just happens that I guess the Hitler equivalent just decides to stop by in Trinidad for a quick second. He's just moving. I think he's moving some people because he has the other 4 great powers, Thanatos, which allows him to steal souls. And he just happens to be like, I'm gonna hang out in Trinidad. And Leo and Hemlock on a recon mission see him, and they get into a sick fight, and he is able to land a fatal hit on Kane and defeat him and basically free the world from this tyranny and bring peace to it. After all these battles and all these fights, and the world kind of goes back to a relatively normal state. Right, there's peace between Kimios and humans once more. Kimios serve like a purpose; they protect people. The worst of the Kimios get locked up in Patmos on Greece. And all that jazz. So back in the present time, the main crew is training with Andrea, who has a mysterious power. And they Red Rokash on his own with his boys ends up in conflict with the Shadow. Right, this new threat, where they're sending the cybernetically enhanced Kimios as sort of a test, right? Because the goal is to basically take out anybody that can threaten the eventual plan. And Rokash, despite being a bad guy, is one of the threats to their plan because he's not going to just join the bad guys, right? And Rokash is pretty strong. Okay, he is washing these people, right?
Yeah, he's tough, man. And
It is funny when it's a Rokash part. He like his bits get like funnier, and because like you even have like little like chibi Rokash like face as he's like talking to him and his buddies. He's like, Rokash is just a goofy guy,
You're just a goofy guy.
and just a goofy guy,
Yeah.
Hey man, Just because you're a bad guy doesn't mean you're a bad guy.
Yeah, no,
you
I
know?
really like Rikashi's energy in this. He's
Is
very
that a quote from Wreck-It Ralph? Oh my god, man. I'm so sick of you right now.
truly. I think that kind of like labels Rikash perfectly.
He is. I mean, Rakashi is on like Black Air Force energy constantly.
Yeah,
For
Like,
sure.
Constantly, bro.
He is.
He's with all the smoke. Like if there was a visual illustration of a man that is with all the smoke, it would really be Rakashi.
he's very
wild.
confident. He's very confident in himself, like extremely confident.
Cocky, I think, would be a slightly more accurate description.
Yeah, cocky and charismatic.
Yeah, he's extremely charismatic. Yeah, for sure.
And also, due to the events of Rakash, there has been like a cameo ban, right, in Trinidad, where you're not cameos, are either, if they're using their powers out, will be arrested or subdued. But that law really doesn't apply to Che and the boys because they're like, oh, like they wear masks and stuff, and you're like, well, who knows? Who knows who these people could be as they help subdue other cameos. So they've all gotten stronger, right? One of them has like a speed power. One of them has like this ability where they can do like a Wukong like transformation. One has the Ash of the Fathers, where they can create things out of this kind of ash. Andrea has her mysterious red bag, and Tevin has like a rhino/lion kind of like transformation state, and Che is continuing to improve his Ilios flames. They encounter some of the cybernetically enhanced Kimios called Titans now, and things are getting kind of rough, and they knew a big battle is coming. So they all prepare for this upcoming fight. And they get attacked at their dojo by this guy with a mask and this other Titan. I think they barely beat one of them, but the guy with the mask is way too strong. Like, he's on something else, right? He can teleport, he has all these different powers, and they're like, oh, no, we can't beat him. We just cannot beat him at this juncture. And we reveal Andrea's power is she has Pandora's box, where it is a container that can hold weapons, special weapons, and kind of like JJK, you can have what they say, what they call them, talent weapons.
Oh yeah, in this series, yeah.
Yeah, but they function like cursed weapons in JJK, weapons that have abilities, whatever. But the user of Pandora's box is a weapon master, like automatically with anything that's stored inside. So she has a whole range of different weaponry that she can use. She's pretty cool. She's pretty cool character.
Yeah.
So they prepare for the big battle, and they send like thousands of Titans to Trinidad. It's crazy. Trinidad's popping off. As once again, they do wave attacks on Trinidad in an effort to take out or subdue any force that can stop the main bad guys, like master plan. And they kind of push together these two forces, right? They push together Che and his friends against Rokash and his lieutenants. So they end up clashing because they both have beef with each other. So they're having their battles while Andrea and some of the security forces fend off all the different cybernetically enhanced Kimios. And they all have some pretty great fights in this moment, right? We do find out, like, there's one of the guys that's like a super honorable warrior that fights the Kong, Anton. There is Rokash's nephew. What is his name?
Can't remember off the top of my head.
Anyways, he's not good. Okay, Rokash's nephew is like, I can be number one. I'm actually god tier. You don't understand. I'm so powerful. I'm so strong. And then when he's about to lose, he's like, well, I'll just nuke Trinidad. How about that? That'll show you.
I got rid of everyone here.
Yeah, it does not work.
It's
Thankfully,
a terrible plan.
He's a very small. He doesn't realize how big the world is.
He does not.
Outside of like past that street, he's like, oh yeah, he's like the best Smash player amongst his friends. You know what I mean? It's like my friends, I'm number one. No one can beat me. But at the moment he touches like an actual tournament, people who actually plays the game,
it's getting clapped.
So they end up fighting. Both Leo ends up going up against Rakash. Leo and Tevin, they cannot beat him because Rakash is that guy. Okay, Rikashi's that guy. The full extent of his power is he has this Egyptian style of power where he gets these like this pure gold armor, these super sharp claws. His slashes corrode things on a molecular level. And on top of that, after he gets his power boost from his Chud nephew,
Yeah.
he can activate like this really cool pyramid ability where he can like see like everywhere, and he has like this perfect defense on top of his offense. So he gets help. Leo gets help from Andrea. She shows up, and basically, and the other group shows up as well once they beat their guys. And together, you have Leo and Andrea are able to kind of put the finishing blow onto Rokash, right? And so he's like the big arc villain that kind of goes down. But when he is going down, they get to see kind of a memory of his, and it's like, and they pull an Ard trope here where he's like, you don't understand. I was holding them back. Where, he was one of the people, along with Leo and Che's father, who was able to hold off the shadow the first time. And it's like, well, you got me, but you got to be ready for what's coming next. Okay? Because I was one of the guys, that was the reason why they didn't mess, with larger society. But now that I'm gone, it's up to you now, right? But, you got Leo's spirit in you. So, maybe you'll got it.
All Might say?
It's your turn.
It's your turn now.
Rokash's All Might is such a funny concept.
And, and then so we are, kind of thrust back into the action. The masked man appears again and kind of gets everybody, teleports the rest of the other Kimios away. And it's like, well, we beat this battle, but we have much more on the horizon. And we get a little bit of Kane's backstory where we find out, how hard he had it as a child, considering how he was born in the fruits in Europe, and he looks like at best, a vampire child, and was persecuted, and then he activated his powers and was kind of propped up Doflamingo style as a child to be like the great leader of the evil Kimios. And so with that in mind, the season ends with everyone kind of gearing up for what comes next, and we get one more flashback of Leo activating his power as a young man during the Great Kimio War, and we see the extent that he has Ilios, which potentially be the most greatest of the original 4 powers. And that is Ordeal, and I'd say it's pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Well summarized too, Bate. Well done.
Thank you.
Good job.
Now, I will say one thing I do appreciate about Ordeal, right? I think you touched on it, is it is made by Black people and it is drawn so lovingly, right? So many Black features are expressed in this webtoon in a way that like just aren't, right? And I'm not saying other comics of course have different things, but like especially for this format, it's kind of shonen style presentation. Just the fact that like so many characters have big lips, right? Big, full Black lips, right? And they're drawn in a way where it's like, yes, that's how Black people, we have like, wide noses, big lips, all these different features, but they're drawn lovingly, right?
Yeah. It's not like
with
a caricature.
Care, it's not a caricature. And also they're drawn with features that are attractive to Black people, right?
Yeah.
The way all the beautiful sisters in this comic are drawn, but they are drawn with very pronounced Black features, and I think that is such a wonderful thing, right? Because it's not common. This is a rarity in this genre, and even some I would say other books or tunes and stuff in this genre that are drawn by Black people may kind of focus on creating a more general anime style, and the Black form is not appreciated in the same way. So I would say one big shout out to Ordeal is like, especially as I brought out, you get a wide range of Black features, and because of this, Black people can embody so many different roles, right? They can be heroes, they can be villains, they can be neutral, they can, have all these different things. And also the fact it's not just, African American, Black, it's like Trinidad and whatnot. And to the point is you get so used to black people. There's this one white guy. Whenever he shows up, it's like a jump scare.
Like, whoa, they exist?
Because it's like what?
Blondie.
It's like the number one guy in the Japan,
Code.
like the
Yeah.
the Kimio Council, whatever. And he looks like the most generic white guy ever. And every time I see him, it's like, whoa, because like, he looks so out of place. He looks so out of place. And it's just like, it's like the first time
You
it's like,
are
yeah,
all,
he just
you are
doesn't
all
fit in.
African Americans and Mark.
And Mark, yeah. He got the spirit, though. He got the spirit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like and on top of that, just the art style is fantastic, right? The costumes are fantastic, all the different details, the fashion.
The way that like aura like kind of pops up of people, or like their eyes like glow or start when they're using their abilities. I think it matches well with them as well.
And one detail I do not want to neglect. I noticed in like a feature, right, that like black women have. The major, right, the general of the army in the past, right? With the big battle axe and like the grenades and stuff. She has edges on her braids, man. I like never have I ever seen that. in a comic or webtoon or whatever. There's a few characters that like straight up they have their edges done on top of that. And I'm like, you know what? Bravo or Ordeal.
Yeah.
I've not seen that expressed. And shout out to you.
He knows, but
He
he's been
did a good
studying.
job with that. The character design was really good.
Yeah, I think the plot of all this is that the writer is white.
Imagine if it was like a Ludwig Göransson situation, where you know he's just able to pull it off despite being like Swedish.
Yeah, you know, I was really studying you guys. You know what I mean?
And paying really close attention to other people.
But yeah, no, the artist in this is really great. And even when they get to like when they show like past events, like with the first 4 Chemios, and their designs are like very like distinct from one another. But you can kind of get the sense that they are like above like the average like human. This is just like the start of it too. Like as someone who's read even like more of this, like characters, his character designs are really good, monstrous. You know, they get to like some monstrous designs, right? But like they work very well with like the story, and like he uses like all these colors that really like makes them pop out. So I really appreciate it for that.
Yeah, and I would say all the super forms, all the transformations are good too.
Yeah,
they're really cool. I'll say of anything in this that this story does correct. If we were still grading this on like hype moments and aura, this is an easy 5 because I would say almost too much, maybe. But this is definitely a hype moments and aura type webtoon. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah. The moments of like characters having their power up. Like, I mean, Dragon Ball Z is known for its power up moments. This series is a really good job of having some really cool power up moments. Almost every time that I see Che enter Ilio state, I'm just like, brother, this is cold. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The aura and the power up moments in this series are just really clean. Really clean.
And I don't know how long it will last, but the side characters actually have things to do.
Yeah, they have a lot of personality too. Like they're each like they're even like Che's like brothers, you know, like they're very distinct personality wise. Like they're each of their own like characters. Like I think one of my favorite like traits out of one of them is just Antoine being just this huge anime nerd, and you just have a random anime reference like every now and then. Like he was just like swinging through like the city, just singing the Tokyo Ghoul.
Does anyone else have anything positive to highlight?
Ooh, I have a lot of positive things to highlight. I love a story with a antagonist nuance, and I will say that Rakash made such an incredible nuanced antagonist. my goodness, the fact that he never had the intention of murdering um his father,
Yeah, Leo.
Leo, and tragedy still happened. He never shied away, nor did he pin the blame on his nephew for what happened. He was just like, I want to take all the malice, all the anger, because I wanted to. You can almost sense kind of what he was doing. He wanted the malice to fuel someone stronger than him, because the threat that was impending was so extremely dangerous that he thought, well, if there is someone out here who can beat me and that could drop me, then they will likely be strong enough to handle what's about to come next. And I think it's not easy to write a villain that the protagonist hates, but that you as a viewer realize may not be as evil as the protagonists think he is. Also, creating an antagonist that has possibly positive value to the plot. I think what they did with his character was so impressive, and how they kind of wrote in like elements of his personality, certain actions that he takes, and kind of how they built everything up. I was genuinely impressed with the writing of the antagonist in Ordeal. I can't deny it. I think it's not easy to write an antagonist like that. It's not easy to write a story that allows the antagonist to remain so hidden with his genuine intentions for so long, because you basically don't find out what his goal is until very late in the story. Oh, the end of season 1, we find out kind of like what was this all about, and I think it was great. Like I think it's really good writing. I really enjoyed that piece. There are a lot of things I liked, but that piece for myself personally stood out the most.
Yeah, yeah, I was just gonna say we get just a little bit about like Che himself. I think Che's just a really great protagonist.
Yeah.
That we follow throughout this, because he's kind of like new to all this, because he was human up until like recently, but he's still trying to like master this ability that just kind of thrusted on him. But I'm actually kind of curious as to like you guys' thoughts on this. What do you think? We get a couple glimpses of it here, about the future.
Oh yeah, we do get future Che.
What do you guys think about future possibly evil?
I
They
think
alluded
I
to
think
that
that's just
so
a
many
big
times.
misunderstanding.
Yeah.
They got misunderstanding.
Yeah. You know, like they're saying that they're saying like, oh, Che, but like I think right after, because you have that one bit where the city's on fire, right?
Yeah.
And Che, so maybe Che's power is getting out of control, but I'm sure when that happens, it'll be like, well, good thing everyone was evacuated. That's prediction 1, right? In prediction 2, you know, that bit where Che, you know, shows up, and then you know you see the guy with the. You're not sure who the person with the what's it called, the god tier, you know, member is, but I'm sure they just dap each other up afterwards. You know, it's all good.
Yeah. Actually, Tevin's like calling out to him like, Che, what the hell is wrong with you? But you actually don't see all of it. He actually said, Che, what the hell is wrong with you? Your cake should be vanilla, not chocolate for the party. Come on, man.
You know, yeah, that's what I'm going for.
That's 100% what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good developments. I didn't mention the preview, but also we see a flashback of the original cameos, you know, in their battle, and like the original Thanatos, and you know, it was all set on Greece, and you know, I guess you tie in the Greek mythology, you know, element in there as well, and that was pretty good. That was pretty cool. What they do with the past, and maybe there's a little too many flashbacks. But what they do with the past and the future, and you see how things develop, is pretty interesting, I would say.
Yeah.
But I think it's time for some.
I also want to answer his question.
Okay.
He asked, "What do I think about future Che?"
Yes.
You know what's interesting? When I saw future Che, and I saw him fighting against his best friend, one thing that I was reminded of is the first few moments. So we get when we watch Boruto, where we see future Boruto and his brother kind of like engaged in a fight. And our first thought when we see this is like, who is this other guy? Is this like a Sasuke like counterpart to Boruto? Like, what's happening right now? And then as the story progresses and we actually get to elements of that part of the story, we're like, this is a mess caused by a misunderstanding. To an extent, I think there may be some similarities there. I think Bait may have a point about even joking, but I think he actually may have a bit of credibility to there being a bit of a misunderstanding.
Man, I've seen that play out one too many times. Okay, I've seen that play out one too many times.
Yeah, it might actually. It's crazy to think. It's crazy because even early, I think when we first see him use his power, like the first moment, first chapter we see him use his powers, there's a statement of, "We never thought that Che would end up becoming an enemy of humanity," and I'm like, oh shoot, like we are setting up for Che, the protagonist of the story, kind of, to end up eventually becoming almost like a Eren Yeager figure who is an enemy to mankind. Of course, as was also true Attack on Titan, Eren Yeager's intentions were also a misunderstanding. I'm like, what is he actually after? Very few people realize until very end of the storyline almost. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of see kind of what that turns into. But I think it's fair to say that Che doesn't have any genuinely sinister intentions or any like evil intentions. So if there are actions that could be perceived as evil, it will likely be because of something that we as a viewer aren't aware of, or that the other characters aren't aware of, that he is in the loop on. Very similar to Rokash, who we thought was pure evil, and they were like, oh, wait a minute, there's some things here that we weren't fully in the loop on. But now that we understand it, some of this makes a little bit more sense.
I feel you. They're pretty
good.
reasonable system. Personally, I think it is gonna be more of like I don't think it's gonna be like you said. I don't think he's gonna be like evil. But I will say he's gonna do a lot of, I guess, for lack of a better word, war crimes, but for the betterment of Kimiyu kind rather than humans.
I think if anything, he might wild out like in like a he might be wilding out like in a quest to defeat the enemy, and they're gonna be like, chill, bro, you're going, you're kind of spooking us right now. Yeah, especially if he's like pursuing Shadow and he's like, well, I have to do this, or I have to get this power or whatever. And also, yeah, he has like 2 different colored eyes in that, so maybe that's implying that he has like 2 powers in the future, but like I'm not sure. All right, so I think we've praised this enough. Now it's time for the critique, folks. Okay, now you maybe my critiques are unfounded, but I will bring them to the table regardless.
Okay, yeah, put them on the table. What are your critiques?
Okay,
there's too many black people.
Yeah, there's too many darks. All right, so the issue I have with Ordeal is it wears its inspiration on its sleeve, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe being so referential to your inspiration puts a damper on potentially good storytelling, right? And what I mean by that is
like you've seen this before.
Some of that weeb nonsense is a little much. Okay, it's a little bit too cute in places. Like when characters just go like nani, or for whatever reason have like a Japanese word for something instead of whatever. It's just it feels like you're trying to like pull too much directly from the manga and anime you like, and it just it devalues the world you created if everything is a reference to something else from someone else's work. That's my like big take on Ordeal.
Okay,
that's fair. I think some characters, like you said with the Nani,
are more weeb coded.
Yeah, but like I didn't mind it because this to me feels like honestly, if this is one of those series where it's like if this was like a manga, it would probably have been a show by now. You know what I mean? Or at least be in the talks of getting a show. You know what I mean? Like we've been seeing an anime about this, so those anime tropes wouldn't really feel so out of place. But like, no, I get it. Because some soldiers would be like, because like some regular soldiers would just be like, I remember seeing that flashback with Leo. And when he was attacking with some of the soldiers in his flame state, they're like, Nani? Is that a.
Yeah.
And it's just like, y'all
It
ain't
takes
Japanese.
it
But
takes you
I
out
think,
sometimes.
but I think that's just more when we do see lines like that. It is more of the series trying to poke a little fun. Uh, but yeah, no, but I do like the references outside of like dialogues. Like Muramusa, I think is one of the swords
Yeah,
names
Mermaid
that.
Blade and stuff.
Yeah, like I like that. Uh, and this is a series that especially with the talents, they very much reference
Yeah.
a lot. Like one of the characters' abilities is Wukong. One of the characters has like a Japanese. I forgot what the name is, but it's the Ash guy who has like a Japanese name for like his technique. Like I think it works pretty well. It just adds a little bit more flavor to the world.
Yeah. My second critique, all right, or second critique for Ordeal is it is I would say it's missing. I think it escalates too fast, right?
Mhm.
The power and the scope of battle and all that kind of escalates too fast. And I understand it is a webtoon, so the format has to be a little different. But I
Mhm.
feel like for me personally, it is missing some more character moments that I think could benefit from a slower pace, right? Because it is definitely pulling on, from Naruto, for example, or like Bleach or like Hunter x Hunter. But when you think about all of those arcs, and you think about their first couple of arcs, right? They're all more slower, but you get a lot more character moments and details and whatnot. And it feels, I understand it can get even crazier in the future, but it feels like we've already escalated to some crazy levels, like right off the jump, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of the time is to these crazy battles, which are good. Don't get me wrong, these battles are fantastic. But I think some of the writing kind of suffers because we kind of only get these characters' thoughts or personalities or expressions like in combat, right? It could use like a proper training arc, for example, right? In between. Not just the one where they were like fighting Andrea and showing their abilities, but like a proper kind of like, well, now we're gonna grow and like we have to, I don't know, some basic challenge, kind of like how early Naruto had a bunch of different elements to
Mhm.
it, right? Or like you think of any good shonen, before we get to the crazy fights, there was some space in between where I think things were able to grow, and you could see these characters kind of grow and change. But it feels like we jumped straight to the crazy fights right away. Like we're getting the meal before the appetizer, right?
Mhm.
That's just how I feel. I think that now, granted, this is only season one of like what potentially be 4 seasons.
Mhm.
So maybe I could just be wrong, and then like I get to season two, season three, and we get all these great character moments. But I would have liked to be able to bond with these people a little bit more because like I only know if I just read it and I can only really recall a few of their names, right? And I I didn't have that same feeling when I recently read the first part of Bleach or like, when I read Naruto or any of this. I feel like I was like, yeah, I got these characters, and I really grew to appreciate them. But I kind of know them more. When I think of like Che's friends, I think of their abilities more than I think of
Dumb.
them.
Mm.
I mean, that's a fair point. I personally think that maybe it's because I have read more, but even then, like I feel like the first season does, for me anyway. I feel like the first season does show you a lot of them, like just outside. Like we see like Tevin, chilling with his girl. We see
Mm-hmm.
as I'm doing this computer thing. We see Hemlock. Hemlock's whole thing with like his uncle passing away and how he has to inherit his ash.
Mhm.
Next generation. So I personally think that we got some of that, but it's actually kind of funny that you said that it. I think you said like the how you put it, like the fight escalates in this, or the
Yeah.
I feel like that's actually a problem I have with the series. Like later on, like
Oh.
yeah, like here it's. I would say the only thing about the fights here is that maybe we get into like the more. I would say that these are god tier, especially comparatively, but these are some very big guys that we're kind of messing with in the first like what would be equivalent of like the first 2 arcs of like a series. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it feels right now to me that we're already pulling out the god powers. Like,
Yeah,
it's whatever. It would be kind of like, I don't know if we got like if the first like 2 arcs of Naruto were like Hokage's fighting, right?
yeah, yeah.
We get a glimpse. We get a glimpse of some stuff, like when we see like
Him
the
going up
third
against
fight of Richimaru, right? But that's just a little, it's a little taste. And I think I would have appreciated more if I got a little taste of what was
like
going on.
of like the smaller ability Kimios. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then I think that could also allow me to appreciate the system. And I don't know how important the system is as it continues, but I thought it was going to be more of like, oh, we could say, oh, well, maybe this is like it'd be a rock paper scissors thing or not, but it does not appear to be that. And also for me, I think what that does is it's like I don't know what power levels are, like at all, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm told,
Mhm.
okay, this guy is stronger because his ability does this. And I'm like, I don't know. Oh, yeah. So I'm like, well, he's just faster and stronger. And I'm like, okay, sure, man.
Yeah.
And I don't, it's unclear because everything seems so crazy and big and bombastic right now. It's just unclear, like, okay, but then how strong is that, like,
Could against like this.
actually? Because Rokash is only supposed to be, what, the 97th? And he was holding back. So, like, I have no idea what any of these power system is supposed to be at this point.
The power system gets pretty wonky. I'm not gonna lie. It rarely becomes like the top 10 and then like everyone else. But yeah, like I was saying, that issue with like the powers kind of get a bit more. They get more prevalent later down the more as into the series. Like later, I would say like halfway through the second season and onward. But for right now, for what we have, even like taking into account that maybe we could have used like a bit more smaller level chemios. I think that the fights escalated at an appropriate rate. You know what I mean? Like Rokash, Rokash could have been like Rokash was a really good like end game arc for this end game boss for this type of arc. Even his like henchmen, I forgot their names, but Tattoo Bomb Man, you know, him being like, "I'll blow up Trinidad off the face of the map," crazy amount of power. But at the same time, it's just like his personality. To me, his personality just gives off like he thinks he can do this, but I don't really think he.
He's like a whiny
I don't
kid
think
who
he
doesn't know what
can.
he's doing.
I don't think you can do that.
Bet, dude. And the guy who was testing
It's really
Anton, who was essentially kind of like training Anton in a way. So I think this season has a good way of like making sure that the powers don't get too nuts. Not more nuts than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Because trust me, when it gets down the road, it's gonna be a lot of like you could just the average person could just literally do anything, huh? The average person is just Omega level.
God tier means nothing anymore, actually. Everyone is God tier.
But yeah,
Funny.
I mean, and I would say those are my only complaints. I would say it's a great start. Like I said, we got many seasons ago, so I'm not like overly upset. I'm glad this exists. I'm very happy, and this is a very good webtoon. I'd recommend it. But it's not perfect. It's not like the perfect debut, right?
Definitely.
I'll share a little bit here because I know we're sharing about some things that we think could have possibly been better. Is that really the?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I don't love how quickly we abandoned the Fight Club storyline. I feel like Che was like, "Yo, I'm in the ring. I'm squaring up. We going toe to toe." And like I learned from my master how to fight in this specific type of combat scenario, right? Now obviously I'm not allowed to enter tournaments without a coach's say so, which is standard fare for a boxing gym. Like if I'm a boxer at my local boxing gym and I say I want to participate in a tournament under the banner of my gym, I need the owner of my gym to say, yes, Gray, you are allowed to compete in this competition at this event under our banner, and I will be your second. Very normal standard fare. So I thought when we first started the series, Ordeal, I was like, all right, this is going to be really cool, right? Rorkash got his start as a combatant in these types of events. Che is now in these types of events. They're at a gym. This is we're going to end in this is like a tournament story. I love that type of series. It's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just flat out abandoned it. Like, we literally got to a point where they were just like,
Yeah, no more.
forget about it. And we don't need boxing rings because now the story has turned into a revenge plot, right? Like now the story has turned into they took him down and now we're just gunning for him. And then other elements keep coming into the story to kind of change the scope. And I don't hate those things, but I do kind of wish that we got more of Che as a Kimio fighting other Kimios in this kind of arena or in this kind of space. Or even like he had a master, the master has passed away. There are other members of the gym. Why aren't they raising up a next generation of Kimios? Why aren't they taking more of a mentorship role? I feel like there were some opportunities with the story in that space versus going from we have structure to now we're just trying to kill this dude that killed our dad. Like we're just gonna gun him down. We're like we love our brothers, we love our dad, and so our dad's gone. The person who took him down, we're gonna take him down. Like that is essentially what the story turned into.
Yeah,
And
it's so on site that they're in the middle of like a Kimio terrorist attack on the city, and they're like, "Nah, actually, we gotta settle this. We gotta square this up right now."
yo, bro, like it's crazy.
I thought they might have teamed up, but they're like, "Nah."
Yeah, they were like, we cannot team up with the guy who killed our father. Like, we're gonna take him down right now. And I don't. While I don't hate it, I also was a little bit. I think the phrase is disappointed. I was somewhat disappointed that we didn't get more of the premise that they introduced because I really enjoyed that premise. And it kind of felt we only got a little bit of it with Che as a normal human, and that was neat. I liked it. I would have loved to see Kimio versus Kimio fights at that scale a little bit more. I think to your point, they as a bit of a training arc, right? Let's learn more about the characters. Let's learn more about maybe meet some friends in the ring. Maybe get some allies. You know, like let's build more of that before we get to this big thing. Because now it's just these six brothers versus I don't know everyone like in the world.
I think like if we had more people on a level of like Shark Eye, right?
Yeah, we need more Shark Guys
to fight versus like I said, like we got the god powers right out the way. Like just it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode 3, and they're like, all right, Exodia time. And you're like, I think we skipped some steps actually.
Yeah,
you know, on the way there.
Fighting Sukuna in episode 5.
I mean, well, kind of. So with that out of the way, right? Would you say Ordeal season 1? Is it trash, mid, or peak?
For me, it is a peak.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be a peak.
Yeah, I agree with that. It peaked for me as well.
Okay, so now we can clarify just a little bit more. Low, mid, or peak?
For me, I really enjoy Ordeal. I think it's a really good series. I recommend it to anyone trying to get in to webtoons in general. And I don't know if you guys read it on Webtoon. But if you read it on Webtoon, there's also like a soundtrack associated with each chapter.
Yeah, the soundtrack was solid.
Yeah, the soundtrack's really good as well. That said, it's just especially just for the first season, I have to give it like a mid peak so far.
It's a low peak for me.
Low peak for me because it's great, but there could be a lot more to it.
This is weird. I have a very interesting feeling about Ordeal. I wish there was I wish that we had like a ranking in between peak and mid peak.
Okay.
because I don't. It doesn't.
If you're questioning if it's peak or mid peak, it's mid peak.
No. I'm not questioning, but it doesn't qualify for peak for me. But I feel like it's almost out of the mid peak tier. I was speaking of for myself personally, I genuinely love the fight choreography and the story.
Yeah.
I liked the way that they wrote the characters. I enjoyed the way that the story slowly built itself up. There were some things that I didn't love, but not a lot of them. There were only a couple things that I think could have been done to improve the story. The art was amazing. The premise was very original. The locale was extremely original. I haven't read many stories that take place in Trinidad primarily. Um, the design was really impressive. Even the music, like the music that they used as the backtrack, I thought was really fun. Like there were just so many impressive moments throughout Ordeal. It would be a strong recommendation for me for someone that's just like, what's a good action series to check out? Like, you should check this out. It's actually pretty solid. There are some series that I have read and watched that I think are peak, and this is not. It is not that, but this series is quite good. That is why I would rank it as a mid peak series for sure.
Okay. You know what? I will. What's the word? No, I'm gonna round up. I'm gonna round up, and we'll put Ordeal at mid peak. That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
That's pretty
good.
That's pretty good. So I think we did another great episode of Peak of Fiction. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, follow, all that jazz. And you know what? For funsies, I'll put up a poll about what webtoons that you'd like us to cover next. Not next week, but eventually. I got some picks. What? Jungle Juice, Bastard,
Boxer.
Pigpen, the Boxer.
Yeah.
And would you want to do Handlum Jimmo?
I could do Hamlin Jim. Why not?
Yeah.
Don't dust off the Hamlin jacket real quick.
But yeah, so we got some options next week as we celebrate Black History Month. We will be doing Static Shock, the first season of Static Shock. The classic WB Kids cartoon. But just to make sure you know, it's Static. His name is Static, not Static Shock. Static Shock's a television show, but the character is Static. Very important.
What?
Static Shock. Actually, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. They literally said it today.
But yeah, so we got definitely some more stuff coming up. We'll have more video game adaptation reviews. We have a live stream coming up. We got some Gotcha. We're gonna do Gotcha Kuda in the future, and we'll be taking a look at Daredevil, Invincible, and a bunch of our television shows as they come out. So a lot on the plate. We look forward to climbing with y'all, and we hope y'all have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week.
This peak to cover. It's sure going to be an ordeal for us to get through.
Yep.
Goodbye, guys. Thank you for coming.
Yep. Thank you for coming.
It's
Thank
sure
you for
going
joining
to.
us.
No, there's no change in the plan. Bye.